do you feel?
Hold tight, 𝗁𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, yeah. Bullet baby tryna press the vibe. Show the love that you got left inside. Walking next to me, your mess is mine. Wanna call on back your way. Always wanna smoke a steak outside. And I'm working on making sure my bank alright. Bullet baby tryna press the vibe. Wanna call on back your way. Infatuated by your movement and mantra. You wanna go fuck her, well I'll take you farther. I ain't the boss, no I promise. We're partners, I can't take a loss. There's no breaking my armor.
We're still kids, we don't know how the world turns. I'm really vibing with how your mind works. I'm gonna live life, do it on my own terms. Do it on my own terms.
Yo, my name is Drew, the owner of Upstate 𝗧𝘂𝘂𝗀𝘂, a website dedicated to promoting local artists. Welcome to another episode of the Cypher, where myself, Anthony Kannon, and Sheridan Crane get together to discuss a variety of music-related topics, generally about local music, but always covering the major events in hip-hop, music culture, all that type of stuff, and providing listeners with some exclusive or leaked music along the way. As I already mentioned, I have two awesome co-hosts with me, one of them being one of Upstate's finest artists, Anthony Kannon. And go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's good, y'all? Glad to be back here for week 2. Andrew is popping. Sheridan, good to see you. Y'all know I'm an artist from upstate New York, 𝗧𝘂𝘂𝘀𝘀. I got a new track, Red Rum, on all streaming services now. We just hit 3K this morning on Spotify, so I appreciate all the love so far. If y'all can keep streaming that, go ahead. I got a lot of shit on the way. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
For sure. Make sure you stream that. And as always, stream the song we just played to open the podcast. The live, we had Sheridan Crane's Press the Vibe. Anthony tends to be more generally based in his hip-hop roots, but we also have our other co-host, Sheridan. Sheridan definitely has ties to the hip-hop scene, but he also has ventures more towards the pop side of the music spectrum. Sheridan, go ahead and tell everyone listening about yourself.
What's good, guys? I'm Sheridan. I just dropped my debut album right before the year ended. It's called 𝗂𝗂𝘂𝗀𝗂𝗀𝗀, Crane, self-titled. I just released, obviously, that song that they played, Press the Vibe, and I'm excited to be back here for another week. Didn't originally imagine that I would be coming back every week, but since it went so well the first week, they invited me back, and I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, the first week was so cohesive, and we all seemed to have a pretty nice chemistry, and it worked well with the three of us that we figured might as well run with 3 hosts and then bring in guests along the way. And we will definitely have some guests, so if you're tuned in and you're an artist, you want to show up on the Cypher, definitely reach out to us because we'd love to bring you on. There's been a ton of music released this first week of April. Corey Loveless released **. That was something we talked about last week. We also saw 𝗁𝗂𝗃𝗀𝗃 release Welcome to 𝗁𝗂 World. Have you guys gotten a chance to check that out at all?
Yes, I have, actually.
I have not yet, but I have it on my downloaded.
Yeah, it was a solid project. Definitely shows room for growth, but it was a nice introduction to someone that I haven't heard from in the upstate area at all. So it was it's cool to have so much new music at this time too. We
So that
also
was your hit, Andrew?
yeah. That was I've never heard anything by him before.
So last year, Sheridan, actually, you pulled up to Rootstock. I coordinated or helped curate a festival for youth talent. We had everything from little kids performing like Frozen songs to adults performing hip hop. 𝗁𝗂𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗀, I booked him for this. He's an 𝗁𝗃𝗃 artist. He's real young. He's close with 𝗂𝗂𝘂𝗃 and all them. That's
Oh, yeah.
So
I remember him.
dope artist. He can do a lot of different things. I've heard him go from old school to making mainstream type club music. I think that, like you said, it shows a lot of room for growth. I think a lot of that could just be in terms of polishing, in terms of the quality of the sonics, and all that, but that'll come. I think in terms of like the song making and what he's doing for 18 years old, I think is how old he is. It was a very solid project. It wasn't like 10 out of 10 type shit, but I enjoyed it for sure.
I'm excited to check it out.
It was a dope introduction, like I said, just a good introduction to what he's capable of, and it's always nice to see like some of these guys who have a room for growth, because then that next project, it really comes out and impresses you. We're gonna talk about Dave Birkin here in a little bit, and he had an example of that. So this, like I said, it was good and didn't really like offend you in the way as a listener of like, why am I listening to this? It was definitely not bad at all. So it was cool to check that out and cool to get some new artists in the area involved in what's going on. So,
you ever heard of 𝗳𝘂𝘂𝗀𝘂?
Nah, I haven't, but I see he's got a project coming out in the next couple of days too. He was featured on that project, Welcome to Macko World, a couple times. So, and it stood out to me like because it seems like another little conglomerate of artists working together. That's how it seems to work the best in Upstate, is like 3 or 4 people getting together and doing something, and it really provides well for them.
From the outside looking in, I used to live in Elmira, and I know a lot of artists in the scene right now, but I haven't been out there in a long time. But from the outside looking in, just as somebody that knows these artists, like they are a conglomerate, they are a unit. They're doing their part into trying to unify their scene, and I think that they're like seeing the benefits from it. T Macko, 𝗳𝘂𝘂𝘀𝘀, Jake Parabello, 𝗁𝗂𝘂𝘂𝘀𝘀, 𝗁𝗂𝘂𝘂𝘂𝘀, 2-Time Clout. Like they have a whole fucking wave of people right now, and it's strong. I'm excited to see what comes from it.
That's dope.
Yeah, and you mentioned 𝗂𝗂𝘂𝘂𝘂𝘂. He also just dropped a track this weekend, Be Alone. We saw a track
That's fire.
from an artist, 𝗁𝗂𝘂𝘂𝘂, titled Worry and Wonder. So we've seen a lot of music come out this week. So it's cool. It's cool to see the activity.
I like that new 𝗂𝗂𝘂𝘂𝘂. I've been bumping it.
Yeah, bro. And that's the cool part about it too, is I've been bumping a lot of these songs. His track, Corey's track really stands out to me. Asterisk. Corey Alexander's new track, Like I Do. I like all of his music. Just and the fact that he's new to me, everything is gonna be something that like I really enjoy listening to.
Facts.
So
facts. I'm just letting y'all know. Watch out for some new tracks with me and Corey Alexander, because he's only a half hour away from me. So we're already working on something. I'll just say that. Yeah,
and I have to mention, like, in terms of that's one of the coolest things about doing this live or even Upstate aesthetic, is being able to help artists come together and work together in a way you didn't expect. Like, you might not have ever heard of Corey Alexander if it wasn't for this whole process of what we're doing. Yeah. And then you're able to work with someone who has those roots in Albany, but then you both live in LA right now, so you're able to work together. It's so cool. Yeah, and that's crazy that, like, I don't know, it feels like a crazy coincidence to me that the fact that I just heard of him, and then right after I hear of him, he moves 30 minutes away from me. That's I don't know if that can be coincidence. I don't know. That's like wild. That's like fate, man. That's like some music fate stuff right there. And like I said, his new track, Like I Do, that was really entertaining to me. He's done a good job at like providing new content over the last month or so, that like between those tracks, and then he did a vlog thing that I thought was pretty funny. Like it's a cool introduction to someone I had no idea about. So, and that's what you need to do in a time like this. And that's one thing that people should take notes about, that vlog. I'm about to start doing that. Everybody should start doing that. If you got time, get yourself more personable. And it doesn't even have to be about your music, but you just play your music in the background and you doing funny stuff. It's like, that's how you get people that are real fans that are going to keep coming back, instead of, just trying to get plays on a song that those fans aren't going to keep coming back. If you're personable and people like you and you do a lot of different things, you're gonna have fans forever, and you're gonna keep growing. That's a fact. I mean, a large part about being an artist, besides for your lyrics connecting with people, is you as a person connecting with people. Yeah. You have to enjoy your music, but also buy you as a person most of the time. You feel me? So you're absolutely right. It was like, even when it comes down to like Trillers and TikToks, to what you did, your explanation of every song of the album type. Yeah. Those things are necessary. It makes people get to know you in a world where it feels like you're so far away, not only because you're in Cali, but because the artist to fan connection or artist to supporter connection. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
Like,
and
if anything that you can do to make that a deeper connection is going to benefit you.
I can prove it. Like on my page, by far, like my most interacted post is the post about the last song on my album, the "I Miss You, Mom." That's about to hit like 700 reactions, and it has like, yeah, like that's like I don't have anything half of that on my page, dude, and like
I'm sure
it's
you
it's
got
all about.
that too.
Yeah, it's just like you have to be for someone told me it was actually my music business teacher. For every promotional post you make about like trying to get someone to go listen to your music, you should be making like 4 or 5 other posts to get people to just like talk about your life or like about what you're doing. A picture of your dog, like people love that.
It just seems like spam otherwise. It seems like,
Yeah.
you don't want to make somebody feel forced to listen
Yeah.
to your, want them to genuinely check it out, or else the listener is going to have, like, they want to be impressed. They're going to have something like a preordained image or
Yeah.
expression in their head, and you're right. You're absolutely right.
And it's a lot like what we talked about last week in terms of no matter how good the content you're creating is, even like especially on an independent low level, trying to build up that fan base, you have to do way more. Like that's 50% of it is the music. The other 50% is stuff like those posts or vlogging or TikToks or Trillers and stuff that really takes you outside of your box. Because probably making music is where you're most in your element, but you have to go outside of your element to really start building that fan base and letting people in. Like that vlog that Corey put out there, it was interesting to get that perspective from someone having to move from Albany to California with only a certain amount of money. And like I now have like a connection to him as more than just an artist, just from seeing that. It's like, oh shit, I hope he makes it out there. Like I'm rooting for him.
Yeah.
And that's cool, and that's important. That like doing stuff like that is really important, and it's going the extra step. Like that post about that song. Like that song stood out to me when I first heard it, but it was reading that post and stuff that also really makes you dig in deeper to it and understand more about what's going on behind the music, and that's really important as an artist trying to build a fan base. And you can't be discouraged as an artist if it's only like 50 people viewing it. Because if those 50 become legit fans who are going to then view everything, that's a really solid foundation.
And it's not just that they're not going to just view everything. Is when you get those fans that are going to view everything, they're also going to show it to other people. Then that's expanding your fan base. If you get a fan that is listening to every song, he's bound to show it to other people, or she's bound to show it to other people. They put it in their actual like personal playlist. It's over.
Well, people always talk about the people in their town that hate on local music and the ones that don't support local artists, but they don't talk about the ones in their town that champion local artists.
Yeah.
There is a whole demographic of people that take pride in feeling like they found an artist before other people did. You know what I mean? So if people feel like you genuinely have a chance to go anywhere, they're going to attract to you more. They are going to show people, as you're saying. People want to feel like they were the first ones to stuff, you feel me, put their friends on to music. That's
my favorite thing. I love putting people on.
In 8th grade, my friend sent me Chance the Rapper Juice when that shit had 400 views, the audio. Like, it just dropped. It was like 12 hours. It barely had any. Oh no, it was Cocoa. It might have been Cocoa Butter Kisses. I'm not too sure. But it was like he put me on the Chance. I'm like, who the fuck is this? I went into every fucking Wikipedia page. I went to every social media I could, and that's just like a quick backstory. That's how I got Chance the Rapper. And Scott, my friend who put me on, he can live with that forever. You feel me? Same thing with Danny Brown. Like, there's a lot of artists that you support early in their career, and it's like rewarding in ways.
Bro, I was like that with Chance too. Is with, I don't know if it was off 10 Day. You know the song Prom Night? He dropped that song, and it was when I had MP3 like music downloader app on my phone, and that's how I was getting music. And all I was listening to was like Tyler Creator, Mac Miller, like like all that type of stuff, like when they were still kind of underground, but they were like, I think it was around when it was before Mac had dropped Watching Movies with the Sound Off. This was like earlier Mac. And so I was just looking up songs like that, and all the time it would come up with like other suggestions in the MP3 app, and came up with Prom Night. And I listened to that all the time, but I never realized it was Chance until I was listening to Juice. And I was like, wait, I've been listening to this dude for mad long, and I went back and found Prom Night, and that's just like, I put on a bunch of people to Chance and didn't even know it from that song.
And building that type of relationship with your fans, like early on, those diehard fans, you kind of then get an opportunity, like Chance, for example. He hasn't necessarily come out with the best albums since I was first put on to him. But I'm still always willing to give him a chance because I was so early to that wave or to the Chance vibe that I'm always going to check what Chance is doing because I was there first. And once he gets going again, that's when the fans who were there first are like, yeah, I knew it. I always knew he was going to be good. Like, so, and that's good for the fans and the artist in general. Like, making those relationships early on might seem weird at first, but once you build those fans that are commenting every day, it's important.
I mean, it is. Artists feel like supporting, well, not all artists, but a lot of people that I know personally feel like or act like supporting another artist takes away from the support that they're going to get. Not realizing that people like all sorts of different music and multiple rappers at once. You feel me? Like, they don't realize if somebody makes it or if somebody's getting some type of clout, it puts exposure and a light on every fucking body in the area. So if one person is like a diehard fan of this guy and now you have a collab with him in your area, they get exposed to you. You feel me? And that's how I worked a lot of shit. Like, I understand how people feel weird about that type of support, but at the end of the day, you just gotta tuck in your pride and show love for great music. You feel me?
Mm-hmm. That's a fact, bro. And that's how, bro, I watched it happen with, bro. You did. I think I asked you about it one time, like while you were doing it. I think I asked, like, why do you do so many features, bro? Like, why do you work with all these people? And you said, because it's helping me grow. And even if I don't think that, like, this artist is totally on my level yet, I know that they're working hard to be on my level, and they have fans that are gonna appreciate us working together like that.
100%.
And working together, it just brings the fan bases together and all that. So, like it helps you grow.
It's a fact.
It's such a smart way to work that it's so foolish for some artists to have that ego problem of being like, I want to be the one to get on all by myself, because it's really hard to do something like that, especially if you don't have the right connections. And building those connections sometimes comes through working with the right artists and in different capacities. Like, that can bring so many different opportunities you're not even expecting just by hitting someone up and offering to make a song. Like,
yeah,
I've got concert opportunities just because I worked with an artist and they wanted me to come out and perform when they got an opportunity. Like, it leads into a lot of different things, you feel me? But it's not just because people don't want to work with others, or it's not just because they don't see them as on their level. I've come to find that there are thousands of different reasons that artists don't do that many features. It's not just as black and white as I used to think. But I still think that it's very beneficial.
And I think I agree with you, because I don't do as many features as you, and a lot of the reason is because I feel like I have to keep a quality control to some extent, and I don't want like you have someone that like is interested in your music on like a financial level and they want to invest in you, and then they go and listen, they're like, what is this? They're just gonna make you take it down. Like, they're not even gonna let it be up there anymore. If you actually get signed to like a major label or something like that. So I as much as I do agree that features are really important, there are other reasons, and I totally agree with that as well. It's like, but I also get frustrated when I see guys that have like one or two songs out, not really very many fans, and they're expecting like 250 for a feature. I'm like, I'm not even talking to me. I'll see them post about it, or they'll tell other artists that, and I'm like, bro, you're crazy.
this isn't on the agenda for today, and we don't have to spend too much time on this, but I do want to get your guys' opinion. I think it's a really interesting conversation that I had a while back. What do you think, and maybe you don't, is there a difference between a producer with not that many credits that's producing a quality sound, charging for a beat, as there is with a rapper with not that many views, charging for a verse?
I think the biggest difference for me on the outside looking in is that, like, it's hard to come by producers that are consistently making that high level quality of beats, and I think those are the producers that really should be charging. I think maybe some of the producers who aren't at that high level should be thinking more on a collaborative level and working with artists on like almost kind of like lawyers do, where they have to build up their reputation by working with clients for free or really cheap early on, and then once you build that reputation, you can charge more. I think for artists, it's difficult because there are a lot of really good artists who don't charge that much, who do have enough of a following that working with them, as opposed to the guy who's charging $200 a feature or whatever. There are so many different things you can invest your money on that it's tough.
For me, I think of it in a couple different ways. One, think of a producer as, like, I'll make an analogy that has to do with all this quarantine stuff. I think of a producer as an essential service. A feature is not an essential service. So why would I pay for a feature unless it's going to help me grow? Paying for I need beat. I need something. No one's going to, I mean, I'm not I guess I'm not a slam poet who's just like trying to like, I need beats. I need instrumentals, or no one's going to listen to my music, bro. So like, I don't need a feature. I like features. I want features. It adds to my music. It makes it better. But if I can get that in other places, then I'm going to, if I don't have to pay for it. And then, so the thing with producers is, yeah, I agree. If you're very low level, you have to work with artists for free. It's just, I mean, you're never going to grow, but you also should be selling your beats. You can do both. You can choose the artist you want to work with for free, and you choose to sell your beats and make money off of them. That it kind of defeats the purpose if you're working with every artist for free, because then people are going to be like, why are you charging me but I'm charging this guy? But I think that, like I said, producers are fewer and farther between. You have to get equipment, and you have to. I think it costs more money to be able to like be a producer than it does to just get a mic and record a verse, or spend $40 to $60 on a couple hours of studio time. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, and they're all valid points. I just always wanted to get people's opinion on that, basically.
But I could see why other people think differently. I'm not like, that's not my set in stone. Like, that's all it is. But that's how I carry myself in terms of my music. I would only pay for a feature if I felt like it was going to grow my fan base or reputation.
So I agree with that to an extent, but let me go, use an example from Colorblind. Do you know Dead or Alive, or DOA?
Yeah, I remember that song you did with him.
So personally, that's one of my favorite tracks I've ever made in my life. Like, when I look back on it, like, the dude on the song, I don't know if you've ever heard of him, Promise NYC. Dude,
I had heard of him.
Had tens of millions of views on MySpace back in the day. Yeah. It was like viral back before viral really existed.
Yeah.
And deleted his page. I've been listening to homie since I was 11 years old. He's had mad deals thrown at him. He never took one. He never wanted to be a famous rapper, do shows, none of that. He just raps for passion. I listened to him for a decade, finally got in contact with homie, and he charged me $200 for a verse. And he just gave me one of the best verses, if not probably the best verse that anybody's ever given me, like, to this day. And I got a track with 𝗀𝗧. Like, I think that, like, I love the track I have with 𝗀𝗧, and don't think that it's not fire, because this shit gonna smack. But personally, just the Promise NYC verse is just fucking crazy.
I love that song. I love that song.
Extra fans from that. Dude gets 200 to 300 views per upload these days. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
But it was out of passion. It was straight like there are a few, and I would put bread in one of my man's pockets for a feature if he was putting crazy bread into himself, if he was super professional.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know what I mean? Like, I think the priority should be to grow your fan base and network, but there are a couple cases.
For me, the only thing I would say in terms of like paying your homie, I wouldn't pay him for the verse. I would pay him to continue making music. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't really be if I paid him for the verse, it would not be for the verse. It would be more the fact that I know he's working hard. I know I'm ahead of him or whatever, and I think he should be on my level, so I'm trying to help him out. That's that it would be for me. Again, I'd lean more towards either that like someone that you want so bad to be on your song, and you know that they're gonna bring it 100%, even if they're not gonna bring you extra fans or views. I agree with that, and that's a good way to think about it. I think that's not something I totally considered.
And I think like the bigger you get, you have to have a little bit more of a discretion on what you're going to do and who you're going to bring on, and all that. Because at some point you do have to look at your homie, and no matter how much he's working, if he's not really at your level, you have to realize, hey man, me putting you on this track isn't going to do much for either of us. You might get a paycheck right now, but if I can get on and get to a place where I can just employ you, and you can work as in some way, even like maybe not on a label scale, but there's so many different ways that you can actually employ the people around you once you get on that level, that I think like you have to have a point where you're like, you know, because there are a lot of people I've heard, upstate especially, but in general, like who will sacrifice their own tracks to put on someone that they're close with just because they're close with them, or just because, and at times it helps because they do have a bit more of a following or whatever going for them, but it does hurt the quality in terms of what you're looking at.
You do have to stop it. Like, I do a lot of features for other people because I'm not going to make the song worse. Maybe I didn't make it crazy better, but I'm going to try my best to do what I can to increase the song in any capacity. And that's your job as the feature artist. I don't let many people on my songs because I refuse to, like, and no cocky shit. It's like I have to limit who I work with like that because I care about my music that much. Like, you feel me? I can't let somebody. I work with people that I think are going to enhance the song in some way, shape, or form, right? Like, that's what the intended feature artist is for. If you're not going to make the song better, you got to stop reaching out to people who are going to make your song worse. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people do it because it's your boy, it's friendly, and that's what's up. But the song is important. You feel me?
Yeah.
Get another song that's more suitable for y'all. You feel me? Like, collaborations are very important, but quality control at the end of the day is also important.
Yeah, I agree. Quality control is really big if you actually plan to be a legitimate artist in the industry, and that's just you can't be making tracks that don't sound good.
Fans on a local level, quality control is important because they're not going to support you the same way as if the song was where it could have been.
No, I agree with that. It's just easier to get away with it on a local level, I think.
Well, and in terms of that, like, kind of back to the initial question Anthony posed about, like, producers and paying to work with artists, like, even some of these lower artists who are looking for a feature from someone, they should think about, would they rather invest that in getting someone on a track or making sure that their track sounds polished and is getting mixed the right way and getting done the right way? Because that, too, is something that kills me, where I'll hear a project and I'm like, man, this just ain't, it's not professional sounding at the end of the day. What you're putting out isn't on the level of a lot of people in Upstate who are putting out professional level shit, that it's hard to give that too much time a day, you know?
I try to tell rappers now, because I've been through it. Like everybody that I've ever had this talk with on the side, one-on-one, like I don't regret buying any features, but if like you're buying a feature, you better have a promotional budget.
Yeah.
Spend a lump sum of money and it's just for the feature. It's really fucking stupid. You feel me?
I've done that.
If you spend some money because you think somebody just having their name on your song is gonna make people click it, it'll make the people in your town click it. But the reason you got the major person is to make yourself national, maybe even international. You have to put a promotional budget in anything that you take serious.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of investing in yourself and your craft and what you're doing, and it comes in so many different ways, but it's definitely something more artists need to think about than just rushing to get a feature from someone, thinking about what you're going to do with that and how you're going to promote it, and even if the person you're working with is going to help promote that track as well, like working with Ant is a stupid good deal because he's going to put in the work to promote whatever track you guys put out together too. That doesn't always happen. You might put out a track with someone and they'll share it once and that's it, if that.
Not even, bro. I bought a Stacey Money verse on a Captain Crunch beat back when I was still doing Young Little Child stuff. I'm not even gonna say how much I paid because it's embarrassing. But after I posted it. Number one, it's not even under. I have like 4 songs posted under Young Little Child on like major streaming services, bro, and it's my 4th most played song. Like it's not even. It got me nothing, bro. But they didn't. They tried to charge me to retweet it.
Oh damn.
Well, do y'all know why? And everybody listening, if you're an artist you're thinking about getting a collaboration with an artist and you're exchanging money, you better have a contract, because if the contract doesn't exist, you're not getting a retweet, you're not getting a like, a repost, you're not getting like none of that, bro.
That was the biggest mistake of mine, like the biggest mistake I've ever made in my music career. Then there's nothing close to that mistake.
Yeah. Well, it was a learning lesson. I got scammed $4,000 by a fake 𝗂𝗂𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗃, and it's the #1 mistake of my music career. But it's one of the best lessons I've ever got. So it's just an expensive ass lesson that both of us learned. You feel me? And mine was a different lesson than yours, of course.
Yeah.
In ballpark, you feel me?
Yeah, no, I had a similar situation. Someone, I don't know if you guys know. I'm sure you know Maddox. He was like the little boy white kid. Yeah. So someone hacked account and posted something that they were doing. Like he was with 𝗂𝘂𝘂, and he was with 𝗂𝘂𝘂 at the time, and they were doing like a deal for I think it was like $8,000 features. And I was like messaging them right then and there. I was like talking to him, and then it's just like it got to the point of like actually sending the money. It was so sketchy, and I knew immediately like this guy's. And then like 2 hours later, he posted that he was hacked.
Said you were about to get a Maddox verse for $8,000.
Maddox and 𝗂𝘂𝘂.
Oh, and 𝗂𝘂𝘂𝘂. Okay. I was about to.
No, yeah, I would never do. It was Maddox and 𝗂𝘂𝘂𝘂.
That's worth 𝗂𝘂𝘂𝘂 alone is worth
well more than 8.
More than 8.
That's why I was like, yo, what is this?
That's one of those too good.
I learned quick though. Well, this was like 𝗂𝘂𝘂𝘂 was still big, but like he wasn't like as big as he is now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shout out to the artist Upstate that I know personally that got some like pretty big features, like a 𝗁𝗃. He got songs with Davies.
That's great. I was just listening to that.
𝗁𝗃𝗃 got a track with Davies. 𝗁𝗃𝗃𝗃 got a song with 𝗁𝗃𝗃𝗃 the Great. Fucking, there's this dude I saw today from Binghamton that is dropping tracks with Graf, Papoose, and Fred the Godson, bro. Like there's some people up here working, and I had more in my head, but I can't remember.
That's crazy, bro.
Crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah. We're talking about learning lessons. That's a good way to transition to our next topic. Tekashi 6ix9ine. I'm not sure if he has necessarily learned his lesson, but he has been released from prison due to the coronavirus. So what are your guys' thoughts on this whole situation?
Can rats get coronavirus? I didn't know that was...
I read that cats could, but they don't know if it's the same type of coronavirus, so maybe rats can too.
Yeah, so I guess we're about to find out. Nah, but Takashi's free. Like
His lawyer's a genius for that. I mean, that
they're
was
talking about how he's supposed to be like getting right back to work in terms of dropping music because he got a advance on his contract, so he's got two albums he's got to be putting out.
It's a Spanish and a hip hop album. And like him or not, he's going to break every streaming record, bro. Like it's going to, like he's going to blow up. I think it's
Takashi's gonna still be one of the biggest artists in the world, unless like, God forbid, like something happens to him. You feel me? Like what people don't realize about Tekashi is that he had one of like the biggest blow ups in recent memory in a short period of time. And he was not a one-trick pony. He was doing Spanish records. He was huge in Spanish areas. He had club records. He could do a lot of different.
He was even singing, bro. He was singing.
Like it or not, like whether you think it's good music, people are going to listen to it, and therefore he's going to have a career. I don't know how he's going to do concerts. I don't know how he's going to do appearances and shit. How he's going to manage all that. But you know what I do think will break a record? Whoever gets Tekashi's first interview, that shit is going to do numbers, bro. They're gonna have a documentary. This is going to be looked at in 20, 30 years as like one of the biggest moments in hip hop history, I think.
And he's gonna get a bag for that interview.
Tekashi's rise and fall is going to be looked at and like really, it's gonna be cemented in hip hop history.
And that's the interesting part is, can this be a rise and fall and then rise again somehow through all of the ashes of being...
he's going to rise again. No question.
The only question I think is, will he be able to provide content of the same level that people were interested in before? Because like legally, I don't know, because they've already said he can be on social media, but it can't be trolling. He's got to be an upstanding citizen for at least the next 4 months. And that's what really brought people into the Tekashi fold, was just the intrigue on him being nuts. Like,
bro, it'd be really funny if he came with some tried to come some like lyrical shit now, like trying to talk about what he's been through and stuff. Like that would be the only way he would not succeed, is if he started doing some shit like that.
True, that's not true. It'd be like sensational bullshit, but people would support it. There'd be a large amount of people that don't. But if he tried to talk about what he went through in prison and his side of the story, that would be one of his most listened to songs.
If he's, I think he's very, very versatile. But if he's even more versatile than I thought, then maybe. But I don't know.
I don't think he's really capable of giving some crazy lyrics.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I think he's gonna sound stupid, bro, if he tried to do that.
I'm saying if he were to do that, though, it would be one of his most listened to tracks.
It would be his most listened to track. If that's the first thing he were to come out with, bro, that I'm telling you, he will break streaming records, bro. I'm 99% sure he's gonna break records with whatever his next drop is, whether it's a single or a whole album, especially if it's a whole album.
It's gonna have to be something more along the lines of a serious lyrical track, though, because you can't, like, he can come back with something of that like nature that he was doing before, of that just heavy like wild type of rap that he was doing, but the gang ties and shit are severed. Like you can't play off of that. You can't play off of anything that he talked about before, essentially. No gun talk, no gang talk, no any of that. So what does he have to talk about if you take all of that shit away outside of being to jail? So
I think he'll talk about stuff that happened, but I don't think he'll actually try to delve deep into it with actual like lyrics. I think it'll still be party style, like lit tracks, but he'll maybe go into the direction of like, oh, I did this, I did that, these people did this, these people did that, from what he went through during this period of time. But I don't think he's gonna actually like bring an introspective like view and like actually talk about how he actually feels about it. You know what I mean? I think he'll just talk about what happened. I don't think he'll actually give details or give his own view on what happened.
Could be dangerous to give his own view of what happened. You feel me? It could be life and dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, but regardless, fuck Tekashi. He's one of the few people that I don't really like, but I always like check out what he does. You feel me? I'm not like rooting against him, but I can't take him serious at all. I wasn't one of the people that took him serious before. Like, I always thought he had the Bloods on payroll, but I did not think he was doing all the shit that he actually was. You feel me? So I'm not in any way a Tekashi supporter, but I'm going to be watching whatever he does, interested to see how this plays out, because it's going to be one of the first cases in hip-hop history like this. I want to see how hip-hop as a community responds to something that they bashed for the entirety of its existence. You feel me?
Yeah.
Snitching has never been okay in the hip-hop community, and we're about to find out how mainstream media portrays it and how consumers more so punish an artist for something like that. You feel me? I don't think there's going to be. I think the old heads, there's no chance they're listening to Tekashi.
Oh no, it'll never happen. But I don't think he needs them. I don't think he needs them.
You feel me?
I don't think he needs the old heads though. I think if he comes back and he comes out with a song that's almost like apologetic or like I'm changed, that's not who I am anymore, that I think will be the best, even if it's fake, bro. It probably will be, but that will be the best thing he could do, and that will give, bro, people will forget about it so fast, bro. Not the old heads, but all white people.
Oh, for
and
sure.
all white people.
They already forgave him just because he beat the odds and is out of jail already so quick. Like, the white people are already like, oh shit, he must be straight. But I think that they're like, he has a lot more to atone for than just the white people. So what do you think though if he comes out and just leans right into it? He's like, yeah, I snitch, stupid. Like,
he would not. He would. I mean, that'll work. I don't think he would though.
Yo, like low key, that what else can you do? He could say I'm sorry, but like if he has to own up to it and know it's Tekashi, he's going to do it in a cocky way. Like, he's out of jail, he's out of prison. He doesn't have to show any more remorse. He just has to stay out of future trouble. You feel me? So he can't taunt people. He can't go back to the gang shit. But he doesn't. It's all dependent on how he wants people to view him now. That's really it. I'm interested to see if he keeps the tattoos, and I want to know if he's going to change his name.
I just don't
think. You think he would do that?
I think a lot of people are telling him to change his name. I think a lot of people are telling him not to.
What would he change his name to, though?
I don't. There's literally millions of answers. I don't know.
You think I had no that was a broad question. Do you think he would change his name to just Tekashi, or do you think he would just come up with something completely like different?
I think that honestly, there's probably something within his contract that says like he can't. You know what I mean? Because of how he's known, and they've already paid him this advance to be this character. Like, you can't really change up much about what you're doing until you've fulfilled this contract, because we need that character. Otherwise, people aren't going to be interested in Danny from Ohio. You know, they want Tekashi 6ix9ine. So, and that would be my take on it, that he probably doesn't even have a choice. Like,
if he starts dropping music under Daniel Hernandez, I'll lose my mind.
I would not be shocked, bro. I would not be shocked.
And he's a smart guy.
I would
in terms
laugh.
of, I'm not
saying I'd be shocked, but that would be hilarious, bro. He starts doing like acoustic cuts under Daniel Hernandez.
An acoustic cut is coming, bro. That nigga's gonna be doing mariachi. He's gonna be doing. They're gonna be playing Tekashi at songs tonight, bro. He's gonna get in where he fit in, and he's just not gonna have.
I almost wonder if he'll come with that Spanish album first, just because if it's just hard shit in another language, white people will be like, "Oh, this is great!" Like, and you don't even have to know what he's talking about.
Well, I think if he does the Spanish stuff, I don't think most of the songs will be hard. They'll be pop. Like the Spanish songs will mostly be pop, and that might be one of his smartest courses of action. Actually, is to come out with this shit first, do pop, let it sizzle a little more, but it also might not work in his favor because then people might forget about him.
Nah, he's got to come out the gates addressing the situation. He has to come out he doesn't have. Maybe he could do pop.
I want him to. I think that would be the best. Like, I think that would make him the most respectable. Not that he is respectable, but it would be more whatever. But I think he might take the safe. I think that would be a safer route to drop the Spanish stuff first. I think it's a risk if he goes out and addresses it, and it could work really well. But I think it could also flop. But I don't think it will. I think no matter what he does, it's gonna work.
I think no matter what, it'll work for a moment in time. But this isn't sustainable. Like, if you can't tour, you can't. All you can do is merch and music through streaming, which that's not gonna pay the bills. Tekashi merch isn't what people were running to get before he fell off or went to jail or whatever. So this isn't a sustainable way of life, especially when you need this high level of security just to survive and keep your family around you. So I think this will last for a little while, but unless he can like maneuver himself into a relationship with mainstream artists like Drake and other high level artists who will work with someone that has done stupid shit like this, I don't think that there's a way to sustain what he's doing. Like, it won't last. If you can't tour, I feel like it already limits you as an artist so much.
Yeah, but I think,
and that's it.
You don't think if he makes the money off of the first or the second album, he could hypothetically, if it were me, I would be too scared. But hypothetically, he could hire enough help and security to make his shows safe.
I don't think so, because I think that before he did all this, he was having to do that. He was having to pay out the ass for security just to keep him safe before he was labeled as a snitch, just for his issues within other gangs and shit like that. So now you almost have to double the budget and you're not gonna have double the fan base. Like, he's not.
Well, I don't think
he was too big.
I don't think he'd be able to do like festivals and stuff, but if he had like controlled settings where they could really like make sure of what's coming in and out of the show, I could hypothetically see it happening. But I think it would just have to be a very controlled setting, and they would even have to probably experiment with it.
His best bet would be like virtual shows. Just show up by like.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? He might start doing that with all this going on.
It would be, it'd be interesting. People would tune in. Whatever he does first, people are gonna tune into it. And he's smart for not rushing right to Instagram Live or doing an interview.
Someone said, I'm just waiting for the Instagram Live notification.
I was too at first, and but then I thought about it, and that's literally a bad.
That would be so stupid.
He's gonna make mad money off of whatever interview he does to kick off his rollout of the new Tekashi or whatever. So
I don't think he'll go to academic. I think
it'd be dumb as fuck to go to academics, dude.
I think he'd be smart to separate himself from academics. Personally, I'm not gonna say how I feel about academics, but I think he would be smart to distance himself.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of academics or what he brings to the hip hop community, but. Yeah, I think that his relationship with Tekashi is not something that would be like I said. People are going to pay to get his first words since coming out. He's such a polarizing figure. Everyone's going to tune into that, especially with what's going on right now, like the coronavirus shit. Like, I could see major organization, Good Morning America type shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think he should go TV with it. I think he should go TV with it, like Jimmy Fallon or something. Like, I don't know, just something like, or what if he got on with like Trevor Noah, or I don't know, just like ridiculous, something ridiculous like that.
But it's gonna be shit like that he's gonna have to do in order to like maintain any type of income too, and like. The problem with those situations are you're not going to really be able to announce it very far in the future. Like, you can't say, oh, he's going to be at this location on this day at this time, because there are people who want to kill him. Like,
it'll just happen. It'll just be posted. It'll just
pop up and it'll have to go viral. Like,
yeah.
So, but that basically covers any of the news coming out of hip hop this week. Tekashi getting released was the biggest news in mainstream hip hop, I think. Wasn't a whole lot. Well, I guess no, that's a lie. Drake's new TikTok song, "𝗂𝘂𝘂𝘀𝘀𝘀 Slide," was definitely popping up on the timeline quite a bit too. But that covers all the mainstream shit we got for right now. Let's go ahead and preview and review a couple of local tracks. The first one I'm going to play is from the 𝗬𝘗lers. I know Ant's familiar with them. Sheridan, have you heard of the 𝗬𝘗lers at all?
I've heard their earlier stuff, but I didn't hear their newest track.
Yeah, this is a really good track. It's called Your Day Will Come, so I'm going to go ahead and play that for you guys right now. And that's a sample of the Your Day Will Come by the 𝗬𝘗lers. What do you guys think of that?
Sheridan, go ahead, because I heard the whole track.
That I thought was really dope. It reminded me of like earlier 𝘂𝗀𝘀𝗀𝘀 the Activist, but like much more polished, like better than 𝘂𝗀𝘀 the Activist. I like 𝘂𝗀𝘀 the Activist, but he's very like underground sounding. That sounded like lyrically much better than 𝘂𝗀𝗀𝘀 the Activist would have been. And I thought that the beginning part started a little slow. I was like, I don't know about this, but then once they actually started like singing, I was like, this is sweet.
Yeah, once they get into their melodic vibe and really start doing what they do, it's a really interesting track. I do think that they have a habit of sometimes coming in a little bit slower, and it can take you a second, kind of like you said. But this track, it's a bop, and like from top to bottom, I like this track. They've done a really good job. This is, I think, it's the first track of the year.
Yeah, I can tell. I would go back, like if I listened to it the full like length of it, I would actually appreciate that beginning part. It was just because I didn't know where they were gonna go with it that I was like, huh, what is this?
Absolutely. I mean, I love the 𝗬𝘗lers. I mean, I don't know if you know too much about them. It's a two-person group. Lil Savvy and Yellow Boy. Lil Savvy normally hits most of the melodies. Yellow Boy normally hits most of the bars. But they both do everything. You feel me?
Yeah.
Very group. Easily one of the most viewed and popular groups in this area. They got tracks for like 500K. They got like 30,000 monthly listeners and have for the past 12 months. So like they're doing their thing. They've been consistent too. It's not just about the views. They've dropped project after project, single after single. I think they're originally from like the Binghamton Vestal area. I got a lot of mutual friends with them. I haven't got to meet up with them in person. I was planning a show for April 17th, and I had booked the 𝗬𝘗lers. They had booked the tickets. They had booked flights, and because of coronavirus, it got canceled. So shout out to for holding their heads and understanding that we're going to get you back up here. And watch out for that Kannon and 𝗬𝘗lers track, because that's coming.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, they're nice, and like you said, they've really had a following, a consistent following going for them since I checked them out. And I was kind of just waiting for this track because I've been waiting for something new from them to start connecting with them and working on promoting whatever they're working on. So this was sweet, and it's a dope track. They've also got some merch to go with the track, so if you're interested in that, make sure you check out their social media, Instagram, and purchase some of their merch. The next track we have on the docket, this one is one I was really vibing with, and that's the thing. This weekend has been really good with all these songs that have come out. 𝘁𝗵𝗀𝗀𝗺's dropped Joker. I don't know if you guys got a chance to view the video or listen to the track.
Oh my God, bro.
It's definitely a crime we're only going to do a snippet of this one, because this track...
Yeah, bro.
It's by a hit, bro.
Facts. Here we go. Joker.
Chain, that's 100 points. Yeah, I'm a fool, I go brazy, never take a day off. Time is money, I'ma make it, I know that'll pay off. I'ma ball on you niggas, see you at the playoff. Put in work, I got 5 bitches getting laid off. On the job, times got rough, a nigga had to pull through. Skip them like school, I brought sand to the pool. Late night mission, but I ain't Tom Cruise. Fashions got drip to make a bitch say ooh. Purple everything, it's your bloody gang, woo. I'm an open book like my name's
So Fashions is someone we mentioned on last week's episode when we were talking about 𝗁𝗂𝘂𝗀𝘂. And then, of course, he drops this track to give us a whole lot more to talk about. You guys both enjoyed this one?
Oh, my God, yeah. Every time he drops, I get more into his music. He doesn't even know me, but low-key, I'm one of his biggest fans, bro. I bump his shit all the time. And I actually have like played it around other people, and they've asked me to send it. So like, he's definitely making hits, bro.
Slick is one of the people that like effortlessly combines lyricism with a flow, tone, sonics.
Yeah.
Like, he has his own unique sound. Like I'm rooting for Homeboy all the way. Every time we drop a track, shit's crazy. We talked about him last time, yeah. I'd love to have him up here one time as one of
the
Through the couple times that I've chilled with Slick and talked to him and chopped it up in person, he's a very insightful and smart, articulate, well-spoken dude. He's got a lot of interest and opinions on certain things. Like, I think he'd be a helpful addition to this. I think that'd be a cool episode.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to have him.
Yeah, he's definitely been someone, even through just seeing him on social media and how he carries himself. He really like is like a professional person, and also has that articulate way about him that it's cool to see in a realm where that's not always super common. Like, there are a lot of great artists who produce great music, but Slick is one of the few who really carries himself like this is his shit.
Yes, sir. Ooh.
So I'm looking forward to see what comes next. That's a really solid track. He seems to be hinting that he's rolling out something, so it's a great start there for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I wanna try to work with him at some point if I can get him to notice.
He's a humble dude. He's a really humble dude, bro. And he's a fan of local art. And he works very quickly and efficiently. Like, we got the done like that, bro. Like, if he fucks with you and you just gave him a shout out, he knows you rock with him. I can't say he'll do it, but just hit him up, ask the boy.
Yeah, I would love to. I definitely will.
Yeah, and it's a testament to his talent. Like we said last week, he won a Slammy for his last project, or a Sammy for his last project. He's been killing it. So this is a step in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Like, and that really just goes to show that it's not just our hip hop scene that thinks he's good. Like, the Syracuse freaking Music Awards thought he was good. So that goes to show that he and many of us are doing great things.
I thought he was the best, bro.
Yeah, the best. Like, I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy.
And said the way I look at it is, Upstate is Upstate. You feel me? It wasn't always viewed like that. There was a lot of sectors and shit. But I just look at it right now. We're a unified scene. Artists are connecting. So Syracuse is a 315. It's not the 607. But we're neighbors, bro. It's all Upstate. It's all love. It's good to see working like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah,
That's
and,
a
like,
fact. Like, and a lot of that's, bro. That's a lot of that's because of you, and like you brought a lot of people together. And I don't think half of the artists that are working together now would be working together if it weren't for you working with all these artists.
I know. I appreciate that. I can't take all the credit for that.
No, nah. I'm just saying you did a lot of it.
I'm glad to have contributed to that in some way, shape, or form, because it's all love at the end of the day. I always encourage other artists to work with each other, show love.
Yeah.
Shit like, I'm glad to be an example, but there's a lot of different things that are contributing to that. That's the scene up in terms of how accepting they are of hip hop, because they just look at it as some shit. If you book it, it's gonna end up in gun violence, somebody getting shot. It's ignorant, this and that. So without the promoters, without the DJs, without the people like Andrew that connect artists from everywhere, because he puts me on to a new artist, he posts about it. You feel me?
Literally, bro.
So many things right now bringing the scene together, and that's what's inspired me to even be like this. I think we are stronger together than we are apart, and once everybody realizes that, we taking off.
Yeah, and I think
we're almost there.
For sure. And from the beginning of when I started Upstate Aesthetic and got the ball rolling on this thing, it's kind of when I noticed Anthony being consistent about promoting other artists. I had no idea who Anthony was initially, and it was through seeing him work with and talk to 𝗀𝘂 that put me onto him and made me like look into that. And it's just like Ant has been consistent about it. That's the important thing, and what has worked for him was he's every day almost, or at least a couple times a week, posting new artists that I haven't heard of. The difficult part for me is I have to make sure they're from Upstate or around the area, but because he goes nationwide, which is smart. That's how you collaborate and get yourself outside of just this little pocket. But it's the consistency of doing something like that. You see how it pays off, because it can, like, his latest track is doing well. Like it always continues to pay off, working in whatever way. It doesn't always even have to be a verse. It can literally be sharing someone's track every time they post one, or share, like, because Ant shares shit from everybody. Like, and it's a smart way to do it.
Fact.
And just do a feature with somebody and call it a day. You feel me? You can't just shake somebody's hand one day and now you know them and now they're a resource. Like, you have to constantly engage with these people. You have to support them like they do you, or like you want them to support you. You feel me? A lot of people, Sheridan brought this up one day. You feel me? Like, it's hard to support other people that don't support you. You feel me? And somebody commented on it and was like, is that actually support though?
Yeah.
You feel me? And that, I didn't even look at it like that. That opened my mind. So that's how I look at it now. You have to, it's not just a one-stop shop. You have to constantly be engaging with different people, sharing their posts, liking and commenting on their videos, subscribing to their channels. Like, all that means something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's got 300 subscribers and there's 30,000 people in your town. Those 300 people give a fuck about you. You feel me? Like, it meant something to them. So it's always good to let people know that you actually care, as opposed to just thinking that that's that. But speaking of 𝗀𝘂, I went to the studio last night, trying to know why my voice sounds like this, and I just sent him 2 new tracks. So me and 𝗀𝘂 got some shit on the way.
Yeah, he previewed something on Instagram that I heard the other day that I hope he finishes up. He said it's not quite finished. It's only about halfway done, but he's got something with 𝗱𝗀𝗀𝗺, I believe it is, that is some heat. So I'm hoping that... What's that?
Ben Kent?
Nah, not Ben Kent. It's a different artist. I think he mostly sings. He does, like, singing stuff right now. But he was on a artist rapping, or on a track rapping with 𝗀𝘂 the other day. So
that's crazy. 𝗀𝘂's coming back to take this shit serious again, and it's keys. Like, 𝗀𝘂's really one of, like, the most consistent artists out here when it comes to actual music. And so when this break that he took refreshed his mind, he's coming hard, bro. I'm excited to see what he does.
I'm excited too. He's definitely one of my favorite in terms of, like, lyrical ability. It's really hard to keep up with him. especially since he took this break. It's been hard to keep an eye on what he's been doing, but it's good to know that he's got a couple of things in the tuck right now, getting ready to go. We talked about artists collaborating. Anthony, one artist you've collaborated with quite a bit, 𝗁𝘂𝘂. We had talked to him. He was supposed to be on this show. Schedules didn't necessarily line up, but shout out to 𝗁𝘂𝘂 anyway. He just dropped a track titled Reply to yesterday. He dropped it yesterday. So let's go ahead and listen to that real quick.
Sometimes I just wanna die, it's not nobody's fault. I get so wrapped up in my head and then I'm always with you at the worst times. I know I keep on seeing all the worst signs. Last night I stayed up waiting for a text back. Gotta check that. I know I got some vices you don't fuck with, then I'll hold back. Phone on D&D, there's always someone.
That's a short snippet off of his most recent track, Reply. 𝗁𝘂𝘂 he's another artist that I have to commend for just his growth over the last year or so. He's really starting to find his niche of what he's doing, and he's so versatile and talented. Like, he covers so many different bases. So
his last couple songs have been, I think, on a different level than what he's previously done. Not that I didn't like his previous stuff. I really love the track he did with you, Hello. And I like a lot of his other older tracks too, but listening to the stuff he does now, it sounds professional, bro. And how young is he? Like, he's still in high school. He's 16.
Just turned 16.
That's crazy, bro. He's already starting to sound professional at 16 years old, and that's amazing, bro.
When I say that 𝗁𝘂𝘂𝘂 is a walking millionaire, he is one of like the. If he was here today, I'd be roasting this nigga instead of bigging him up. Don't get it wrong. He's so funny and goofy, but when in terms of a professional, a lot of 25-year-old rappers in the industry, produce history, don't have his mind or business savvy capabilities. You feel me? Like, he's
dedicated.
He put on the show that we did. Like, he was a pivotal part. He was 50-50 with me. It's not like, I did all that. He did just as much as I did. He was hitting up the promoters. He was sending emails to the venue. He was talking about effects in the building, connecting with artists. Like, I had to sit down so many times. He was 15 at the time. I had to tell myself, like, yo, what the fuck? Like, who taught you? Who put this, like, kick in your butt to do this shit? Like, I don't know how you're doing this right now at your age. There's a lot of things and a lot of places where he has room to grow. A lot of them. But he is my little man, bro. I love that kid. I'm going to work with him a lot in the future. I'm going to help him in any way I can, even in terms of not working with him, because I truly believe in him. He has a route as an artist and then a whole separate route as a producer, because at 16, he's one of the best producers out here. Point blank. I don't know if a lot of people have heard what he's capable of, but you will, and it's insane, bro. And his age indicates that he's only right here. He's going to be way the fuck up there someday. You feel me?
Yeah.
And he's got like
totally
a decent, legitimate following for him of like that those people his same age that are just in love with his music. That's kind of the demographic so many people want to target. That's the one you want to get when you're making music and you want people to stream your shit and play it over and over. And he just kind of fits right into that niche where everything I see him post when he's looking for support from the people who listen to his music, it's there and it's consistent and it's quite the outpouring. Like, it's good.
High school and I guess college, but schools in general are the best hubs to gain a large audience at once. If it wasn't for me pursuing music in high school, even though it was under a different alias, and gaining support through 15, 16, 17, even in middle school doing YouTube videos, I would not be where I was today. I'd be in a completely different position because you're never, ever around a guaranteed 2,000 people at once. You feel me? You're never around a guaranteed 700 people at once. All of them are a potential fan. It's just about who you get to gravitate towards you. And he's doing a great job of capitalizing off of all the real estate at IHS, you feel me? So hats off to him. He's going to have a very, very large fan base by the time he gets out of high school, which is going to be crazy.
And you mentioned he has like room to grow on quite a few different things, but that's even a bigger testament to what he's got going for him right now, when you can see that he'll be able to put all of these things together and become even better than he already is at such a young age. It's awesome to see. He's been one of my favorite artists. I think Sheridan mentioned that song "Hello." I'm pretty sure that was one of my most listened to songs in general on Spotify last year. So it's just it's cool to see him. It's cool to see him continue to grow as an artist and really, like I said, start to come into his own. And you said he's 16. I thought he had already turned 18 just because he's like, his music is growing. His voice is like, the things he's talking about, it's all getting a little bit older, and you're seeing it and you're like, oh, fuck, like this is some stuff I can mess with as an older listener. It's hard. Some of his older music was very much for the high school audience. So yeah, I enjoy it, but how much I'm going to play it when I go out? Not a whole lot, because that's not necessarily my scene, but now he's getting into that zone of things where I can really see myself playing them all the time.
Yeah, and he's making music now that transcends that. He's making music that high schoolers can love and listen to, and even younger, and the older people, the older audience can get into. And I think it's not just the lyrics, but also the sound. It's very like his you can hear the mix of who he is and his influences now in his music. And I think it's like, you can tell he's not copying anyone. He's doing it himself, but he also is making music that the masses can appreciate.
I think the masses can appreciate it, but I also think he's at that point where he's just too young to really captivate a fully adult fan base. You feel me? Like, I think his shit is limited right now in terms of who can listen to it, but that's the scary thing, is how much pull he has right now, because when he turns 18 and can start talking some adult shit, and when his voice drops and he sings with a little bit of bass in his voice, that shit's gonna be scary, bro. Like, when adult women and adult males can listen to him, because that's the type of music I see him making. Club shit and shit that people listen to at their crib. Like,
yeah,
he can do a lot of different things. But once his voice drops and he goes through full puberty, as funny as that sounds, I think is when he'll be like the most deadly.
Yeah. I agree. It's like he's powering up right now, bro. Like he's gonna get to the point where he's like unstoppable. It's like Super Saiyan type shit.
For sure. There's literally nowhere he can go but up, because you just see that trajectory for him.
And he's dedicated to it. It's not like he's just like a bunch of talent that is there and not come to fruition. It's going to happen because he works his ass off. He asks the right questions. He's in the right places. He's talking to the right people. And he's persistent. Like he's messaging me all the time, asking questions, trying to see how I can help him and how he can help me. And I think that's really important. You can't be scared to ask somebody for help. I think if you feel like you want to learn something, and I've done it with Ant. I've asked Anthony questions about certain ways to promote music and other things like that, and just how to carry myself. And I've learned a lot because Anthony was doing music before I was, so it only makes sense that I start out much less experienced, and he helped me get to the point where I feel like I'm as experienced as anyone else, and I can do anything anyone else can do.
And he's smart, and he like you said, he takes that knowledge and utilizes it. He was obviously listening last week because I had mentioned something about how not enough artists reach out to me in terms of getting a rollout set up and whatever. Literally the next day, he messaged me and was like, all right, how do we get this going? Let's get a rollout set up. Like, how do I get on the show? And that's what had started preparing things for him to get on, because he was one of the first ones to put himself out there and want to be a part of what we're doing. And that's so smart. And that's why he's going to be on at one of these shows, because he's someone that I would love to talk to, just to get that introspective, someone so much younger who still has so much room to grow. But it's crazy. And like you said, he puts in the work. You don't get that good at 15, 16 without putting in hours and hours. And that's not what kids his age are doing. They're out playing Fortnite and shit. So
especially just the fact that he's also producing, the fact that he's doing both. Like, he's doing both. Like, it would just be amazing, even if he wasn't producing, that he was able to do the stuff that he is with his melodies and his vocals and stuff like that. But the fact that he's also one of the top producers in the area, you can't beat that.
He's on some Young Rush shit, man. Just produces, mixes, master, it's crazy. So, and shout out to him. There's nowhere but growth for him, and he's at such a young age that in the next few years he's gonna blow up. Something's gonna happen. So,
facts.
The next track we've got on the docket is a track called "Toxic" by 𝗁𝗂𝘂𝗀𝘂𝗀𝘂. I'm not sure if you guys are very familiar with him. I've heard of quite a few of his tracks. He's done a couple things with like Sprite under promotional stuff too. Not totally sure where he's from. I'm pretty sure he's from the Utica area though. So go ahead and play that for you guys.
I get toxic when I'm litty off the Henny and I pop shit. She a baddie, had to eat it with the chopsticks. Said he like the way you're hard, but I'm a locksmith. I get toxic when I'm litty off the Henny and I pop shit. FaceTime or DM and then I regret. When the sunset, hit the onset. I ain't pussy when I'm sober, you ain't worth that. Still a nigga with the fruit, I got hella juice. Love it when she call me mad, put me in the mood. When I'm choking, I'm talking, no time for interludes. Told her that I would trash it, but then I kept the news. Throw it back. Where you at? I know you love me, but baby, I just be wildin'. Convince me that you be changing, but you be lying.
That's Toxic by 𝗁𝗂𝘂𝗂𝘂𝘂. You guys said you're not very familiar with him. Did you like what you heard?
I'm familiar with Juan. I don't know if you want to go first.
No, you can go. You can go.
So I fuck with the song. I listened to it before it was on the sheet. I follow Juan. I talked to him multiple times. The Hunt show that we put on, I tried to book Juan. St. Kid is a very, very big fan of Juan Boulevard. He is who I've heard of him before. I knew about him, but he's the one who made me realize how serious he was. That's when I followed him on social medias and whatnot. Very talented artist. I don't know too much about him. I'm not gonna front like I'm close with him or anything, but I do know that he's serious. I do know that he has a great work ethic. He puts out a lot of material, and he seems to be like a good dude. The song was dope. It was a hit. I could see it in the clubs. I could see it played at the pre-games. The sonic quality was dope. It was very mainstream. Sounded just like what goes on today.
Yeah,
he's got a lot of those in the tuck. Like, that's what he does, is just produce tracks like that. And he's someone I'm somewhat familiar with. When I first heard about him, I really had to dig in to figure out what he was into or what he was about. He's still relatively new to music. He's only been doing it for a couple years after he finished up doing college sports, I'm pretty sure. So he's really talented for how new he is to doing it with a couple years under his belt. He's gonna, with music like that and then relationships with Sprite and stuff like that, you could see him being someone who could really catch on. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, that was dope. I've honestly never heard of him before, but I definitely will be hearing more of him because I'm going to go check him out right after we're done because I really like that track, at least what you played of it. It reminded me of a lot of stuff that I listened to. Not that it was like the same, but he had, not that the flow or like the sound of the song, but his voice kind of reminded me of 𝗂𝗂𝘂𝗂𝘂𝘂. Smoother, a lot smoother. But I heard a little bit of 𝗁𝗂𝘂𝘂𝘂𝘂 in there. But that was, like Anthony said, it was a track that you can play anywhere when it comes to party Pregame, Club, like that was a universal song, and I'm adding it to my playlist right now.
I mean, if you slip that onto like a Rap Caviar playlist, like, hey, nobody's really gonna question it.
Yeah, no one would notice that he's a local artist.
You might skip it because it's not your tea or it's not your favorite, but you wouldn't be like, it wouldn't be the odd one out.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna play the song again. I like it. It's not really my cup of tea per se, but I do know how talented bro is, and he's not just somebody that makes club bangers. I've heard him rap before. So shout out to him.
Yeah, you know me. I like my club bangers. I like melodies, so that's why I fuck with that shit.
I love melodies. I mean, I'm not gonna talk down the track or anything. It was a dope song. It's just I'm not gonna play it again. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, he's definitely got a lot of like boppy tracks and stuff like that. And I think his last project that he put out, it was a mixture of two projects where he did like half more of the club type sounding stuff and the other half a lot more into the rap type thing of what Anthony's talking about. And that was smart just because it showed his versatility. I think that the way he rolled it out could have been done a little bit better. I think that artists dropping two projects on the same day, it's going to be really difficult for your fan base to check out both of them, especially if the first one isn't their cup of tea. It's going to take a lot for them to say, all right, let me try the other side. This was a conversation I had with J.J. Wolf a while back when he did the same thing.
Yeah, I don't like that. I think unless, even when you're an established artist, if you're an established artist, that's really the only way you can get away with it. But even if you are, I don't think it's the right way to go about things. If you want to sacrifice the commercial end of things for whatever your concept is, I guess I can see that. But other than that, I think it's an absolute no. Like, that's just if you're trying to actually market yourself and you care about every single song on both of those albums, you wouldn't drop them at the same time.
I mean, I'm not a fan of dropping two projects in the same day. I could see multiple different cases of it. What J.J. Wolf did, I never talked to him about it. I thought it was brave. It was dope. I listened to both projects the day they dropped. Not too many people are going to, though.
Yeah, I did too, but like, who else?
I think that's something that you just have to know. If you go through with a thing like that, I think it would be arrogant to assume a bunch of people are going to listen to both things in entirety. If you drop something like 2 4-song, 5-song EPs, completely different vibes, same day, I could kind of see that. But I also think you would have to be more of an established artist.
Yeah.
It's not just, or your rollout has to be fucking crisp.
Like what Princess Nokia did. I don't know. She did this a couple weeks ago. She dropped like an Everything Sucks EP and like an Everything is Beautiful or something like that EP. And I mean, I didn't totally love either of them, but there were some good tracks on both of them. And I think that she has the type of like cult fan base that's going to listen to both sides. And since she's not going for it to be like, she's not trying to be the most commercial person ever or trying to be necessarily on the radio. She's just trying to show off her artistic ability and originality. And she's within her own niche and she has her cult fan base. It works. But again, she's a much more established artist, and that's why it worked for her. And it was a concept that made sense. The Everything is Beautiful had much more happy songs with more blissful beats and stuff like that. And then the Everything Sucks was a lot harder, where she was rapping and she was kind of talking her shit. And I thought that worked, again, because she was established. But if you're not established, nobody cares about your concept.
Well, and I think at a smaller level, like some of these artists, and even Juan did kind of what Anthony said in terms of like 5 and 5 smaller EPs of both types of selections. I think it's also a little bit risky to tell your fan base like, hey, this is for the fans who listen to this and this is for the fans who listen to that, Because if you're a fan who's more into the rappity rap type thing and you put on that specific album and the first track isn't exactly what you're expecting, you're probably done. Like, you're tuned out. You're like, their idea of what I thought I was going to get isn't that, so I'm going to look for it elsewhere. It's all, I think that it's probably just smarter if you're going to do 5 EP projects. Like, well, I don't know, doing just a variety. That's what most listeners want, a variety of what's going on, not just 5 and 5. Like, I don't know.
And let me rewind for a sec, because I saw Anthony shake his head when I said nobody cared concept. That's not what I meant. I meant nobody cares about your concept when your concept is 2 full-length albums and you're not an established artist. You have to have a concept when you're not an established artist, because you want people to be drawn to what you're doing. But when it's 2 albums, nobody's even going to understand what your concept is, because they're not going to listen to it.
I hear that. I did shake my head. I was like, I don't know what this thing is.
Well, we'll go ahead and keep things. Oh no, go ahead, Ant.
I think you could get a pretty large fan base if you just dropped a 8-song mixtape or straight. You feel me?
Yeah.
But concepts do just help in general.
Yeah. I totally agree with that.
Talked about earlier, establishing that connection with your fan base and making them genuinely connect to what you're talking about. A concept is just one thing that's going to make people get a little bit of extra. A little bit more respect in terms of a cohesive project.
Well, and it gets people to not just like they don't just like that one song you did because it was fire, it was bumping. If they get attracted to your concept, then they're actually going to care about you, and they're going to care about what you drop next. They're going to be looking for that next concept. If they just like your music because it's fun, they just like fun music, and they're not necessarily always going to be looking to you for fun music. They're just going to be looking for fun music in general. I think if you get people attracted to your concept, that's who you are, and they're attracted to who you are, so they're going to keep listening to you for what that is.
Absolutely. And then to keep things rolling, the next track we've got to listen to in terms of local tracks, this is from Edge and Baby Lou, called For the Night. These two are actually pretty new to making music. They just dropped their first project a couple months ago and then dropped this track following it. So I'll go ahead and play that for everybody.
Let's start this night off right. Say anything, talk to me nice. Got my drink in my cup, alright. Keep your eyes on me for the night. I be drinking till I'm lit. Give me a shot, just a quick one. Never seen a chick like you a lit one. Never seen you when I want your time. Niggas waiting, I'ma skip that line. Can we dance? Let me see you whine. Wanna see you switch on a dime.
And that was For the Night by Edge and Baby Lou. Like I said, they're still new to releasing music on things like Spotify and stuff like that. I think that this project or this song was like a good start, but what do you guys think?
So I just got put on to these guys by you when we were talking about it this past week. I checked them out. I think they got like 3 songs on streaming services. I listened to this one. I listened to another one. I can't like knock their talent at all. They're really dope artists. It took me a second to get into the track that you just played. I had to listen to that twice to thoroughly enjoy it. I think it's brothers, not like biologically. I think it's 2 black males. I don't know if they're a duo. I don't know if they're just making music with each other. I couldn't establish each other on the track the whole time. I had a little bit of trouble hearing the different voices. I think that sonically it sounded really good. I think that their voice, it was written very well. It's another track that I like. I probably want to play it again. I'm interested to see where these guys go though, because I think that they're pretty talented. I think that if they came out with a project or something, it'd be very nice.
Yeah, so I could definitely hear that they were talented and they know what they're doing. I wasn't necessarily... I like the melodies but I wasn't necessarily in love with the delivery of their voice. I thought it was maybe a little out of their range or key or something like that. Or maybe I just didn't like how the auto-tune was on it, even though I like auto-tune. It wasn't pleasing my ear, but again, it was just a little snippet. So sometimes I hear stuff like that, and then I listen to it again, and I like it a lot more. Like he said, it took him a second listen to like it. So I'm definitely going to be checking them out and seeing what I can get from it.
Yeah, and I went to school with 𝗂𝘂 when I lived out in New York, so I've known him for a long time. I know that he did previously, him and Baby Lou, they were doing something as sort of a trio, but they weren't taking it as seriously. They were going by the group named Mizos, obviously very relatable to the Migos, going as a trio. Like, they weren't taking stuff as seriously. Since then, 𝗂𝘂 and Baby Lou have decided to take things more seriously as a duo, so they're going to be doing things as a duo more often. I also think they do a lot of their own production in-house, and I think it might be worth, like, taking that initiative to invest in yourself and get outside and have other ears on what you're working on and producing, and focus more on the music that you are producing, because I think that they do have a really good talent and they have room to grow for sure.
Yeah.
I just think that maybe the thing that threw me off the most was the terms of the production, and when you compare it to some of the other tracks even we've just listened to, you can tell there's a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like I said, I support them. I think they're dope. I wasn't the biggest fan of the track, but I can see how talented they were.
Yeah, and I could hear that. I could hear that on another track, I would probably like them more. And I think if there was someone telling them, like, you know, this is your range that you should stay in for the most part, and that will be the most pleasing to most people's ear. Because that's what I have people that tell me that. I have people where I'm like, I'll write a song and it's like not totally in my key, and someone will be like, hey, maybe try it in a different key, or maybe this track just isn't in the right key for you, and I'll just send you something different. And that's totally the difference between being you and your buddy working together and having like multiple people who are listening to your music and able to tell you, hey, maybe this is the direction you should go, or maybe you shouldn't go in this direction. And I think everyone needs that.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm just excited to see the continued growth from these guys. Like I said, just now, recently starting to take the initiative or the desire to take things more seriously, obviously opens up the lane for them to do a lot of things more different. And I'm almost curious to hear them really get into like rapping, because they mostly have been putting out tracks where they're singing. And I like to hear that difference and the variety. That's what helps a lot of artists in Upstate stand out, is that they have different qualities about them. They're not just rapping, they're not just singing, they're doing all of these things well. There's only a couple of acts that really have their own sound defined for them in Upstate, so you have to be able to do a lot of things in order to stand out.
I agree 100%.
And then the last the last local project we're going to talk about this week is Dave Birkin's new project, 𝗁𝗁𝗁. This is a project that I was really interested in talking about, because his last project, D&D, it was nominated for the Album of the Year for Upstate Aesthetic last year. And he was good, but it was one of those cases of me thinking like the production could have used a step up. And I think he did that with this project. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think.
Dave Birkin is an artist that you know you're gonna have fun listening to. Bro has vibes. He can get it jumping. But it's not like he's only club music.
Yeah.
I dive into that album more than one time. I don't remember a lot of the songs' names, but I do remember how I felt listening to the music. It just made me really want to hear what else Boy can do. He's really dope. I've had a few conversations with him. I know that he's also had some minor success. I think one of the singles from the project is saying that like 20K on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken. And if it's not a single from the project, it was a single leading up to the project. So he's doing well on streamings and on YouTube. So whatever support he's got in his town, he's got to keep building it, because you've got that foundation, and it's only a step up, and you out of here. He's not gonna. Right now, it was a really dope project.
Yeah, I listened to his last project because he was nominated, and I hadn't heard of him before, and I really actually enjoyed it. And I agree on the production side, it needed work, but I'd say most of the songs on that project, and again, I can't remember what they were called either, but um, I bumped most of them for a good solid week probably after I listened to it. And I'm the type of guy who like cycles through music really fast. I'm listening to all the new albums on New Music Friday and stuff like that. So to listen to something for a full week, that's props.
And you said that you listened to the previous project and you could notice the production differences. I have a snippet here of a track off this project. I'm curious to hear if you have the same sentiment I do. So I'll go ahead and play it real quick.
I like girls from different states. Southside chick, my Atlanta Bay. Got no likes on your last post. If I saw you walk by, I'ma replay. Shorty got the power and I know she don't know it. I am hooked up with flash screen focus. We hooked up, now a nigga never noticed you. She had me feeling so vulnerable. Now a nigga up, put the stars in the roof. See a nigga going rock star in the booth. These niggas dumb me up.
So I might be remembering the last project like incorrectly, but I do think this is like almost a major step in a better direction in terms of the production quality and just the sound, like being able to listen and you can hear everything that's going on, I guess is my main point.
Yeah, I dig that. That was cool. It wasn't what I was expecting, honestly, but I definitely liked it, and I thought from what I could hear, the production sounded pretty good. I haven't heard the last project in a while, so I can't say how much of a step up it was. But I mean, it seemed to be of production quality that I would listen to in regular music, so that's really good. I thought that was really catchy. I thought the lyrics were corny in a clever way, if that makes sense, like in a way that works. It reminded me of like goth boy clique stuff that's not like not Lil Peep, like the people that Lil Peep worked with. And I listened to all of them, and I think I really appreciated the cleverness of the lyrics, even if some might call it corny.
Yeah, me and 𝘂𝗍𝘂 were talking, Mr. McBean, and we came to the conclusion that and I don't really like comparing artists to like mainstream artists, because some people get hurt, they get butt hurt over shit like that. But I'm not saying that you genuinely sound like this or you're a clone or anything. We came to the conclusion that his music reminds us of like Lil Tecca. You feel me? Like it gives us complete Lil Tecca vibe. And that's not a bad thing at all. I think Lil Tecca is a great artist. I think he makes music that obviously can get you $1 million. He's another artist that's young and only has room to grow. So I would like to see a more serious project in terms of like what's going on in your head, you feel me, or how you feel. But in terms of just music, this was a good project.
And it was smart. It's clever. Like it's something that bothers me with some artists in Upstate, that they'll put out like super long projects with super long tracks on them. Like when I did the listening for all the Upstate albums that were nominated, there were a couple that had like a couple 6-minute tracks with like 20 tracks on the project, and I was like, bro, this is literally a job to get through. His project right here, Off-White, it's like a 20-minute project with 7 tracks. Like they're all super short, 2 minutes, cut right to the chase.
Way to go.
And it's like the mainstream, like his music seemed very much stuff that could fit right into that mainstream like wave of stuff that's still going on. So
that's dope. I'm excited to check the full project out.
For sure. It was one that like I guess, and it's so easy to consume a project like that. Like you can easily throw 15, 20 minutes down, listen to this project really good, and have like an idea of what you thought about it, and then go back to it with the tracks that you enjoyed. So
because you won't lose, like even if you do listen to a whole album, a lot of times you get halfway through, you kind of lose your focus, just because it's hard to focus on something for an hour. But if it's 20 minutes, you pretty much can get through every song and actually listen to it its entirety with one listen.
Yeah, so that was definitely an entertaining project to listen to. Another project I got to listen to this week, pretty much the only somewhat major mainstream project that dropped this week, was Rod Wave's new album. I really thought that this was it was like my introduction to Rod Wave, so I guess I'll probably have different thoughts on it than you guys. So I'll let you guys open it up.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. I've listened to the project. I think as front to back once, and then I listened to a couple different tracks multiple times. Rod Wave is doing what Rod Wave does. I think on the intro he showed a side that I haven't personally heard of Rod Wave. He was more so rapping. But my favorite thing about Rod Wave is just the emotion he gives you in his voice. Some sounds like he's a preacher almost in a Southern church. I don't know if any of you guys have attended Southern church. It's very, very soulful. Rod Wave is really dope. He paints a picture. He's street, but he's articulate. He's humble, but he's also cocky. So he's one of the newer cats that I'm interested to see where he goes. You feel me? He's making just as good as music as anybody that just came into the game that's doing something in his lane. So I'm rooting for the guy. My only critique about the album is that a lot of the songs sound the same. Like I almost didn't even realize that some songs were like it was a different song. You feel me? Like the beats even identical to each other at certain points. So if I had any type of critique, it would be that. But I pour a cup of Henny, roll up a blunt, turn on some Rod Wave, and I'm fucking jamming, bro.
Yeah, that's a fact. I've been one of his most like vocal supporters. Like I'm a big Rod Wave fan, especially his last album. I listened to that a lot. Yeah, Ghetto Gospel, great album. There were no skips for me on that, and there were multiple tracks that I listened to all the time. And so this album, I was hoping I would see something different, some growth. I didn't really see that other than on, like he said, the intro track, and I thought the single he dropped right before the album, Greatest, those were very like uppity tracks and weren't as like as soulful or as pain driven. But I still like every single song on the new album is sonically really great. And if you hadn't heard any of his previous music, I think you'll be very pleased with what you hear. Personally, through my first listen, I was really disappointed. I thought he was going to go in more directions. I thought I was going to see more growth. Through a second listen, which was right before we went live, actually, I realized that it was for a reason. I think a lot of people hadn't heard his last album or his earlier music, so I think he was keeping his sound distant so that once people do gravitate towards him, that's when he can start growing his sound and changing his sound. But he doesn't want to change sound before he has that base group of fans, I think. And I think he'll get that with this. And I've seen it already on my timeline. A lot of people are talking about Rod Wave, especially because it was one of the only major like hip hop R&B albums that was dropped this week. And I think that I appreciated a lot of the songs more in the second listen, and you know, he's the pain conveys is like no one else I'm hearing right now. I think that he has a higher ceiling, or as high of a ceiling as anyone else in the game right now, and if he keeps on pace and keeps working hard, I don't think there's anyone that can stop him. I think he could be, I don't know, not like a Drake level artist, but close to it. I think that's the potential. I don't know if he'll go there. I would be surprised, but I think he could get to that point.
So this was, like I said, my introduction to Rod Wave. I've heard about him a lot before. Literally never checked for him before this project, because it can be hard sometimes to check for like the guys who are about to blow in the mainstream, especially when I'm trying to cover so many local talent. So I've been waiting to check for him this project, but I've heard a lot of people be like, Rod Wave is next up. He like a lot of things I heard about guys like DaBaby and Roddy Ricch. So I listened to this project, and at first I really liked it. And I enjoyed it. And, like, as a first listen, it was good. But then I started thinking about how people have been pushing that narrative of he's next up. He has this ability to be, like, a superstar. And it was just difficult to give him that type of credibility. Like, and this is really nitpicky shit. But so his cover art, it has, like, the people who designed it, True GFX or whatever, it's on there. That's really weird to me because that, like, major mainstream artists don't have that. They just have their cover art and it's set. A lot of their tracks or a lot of his tracks had like the DJ call out on the beat. Again, this happens with like major producers, but these weren't major producers. These aren't the people you're used to hearing. So it reminded me of like a really well done track from someone upstate, not someone looking to go to that next level in the mainstream of being like a superstar in the way that his fan base has perceived him. To me, when I listened to him, like, I heard some of the stuff you guys are talking about with Pain and whatnot, but at the same time, I felt like he didn't really bring anything to the table that some of these guys who are taking that next step are. So I liked it. It wasn't bad, but I do think that he has, like, this push behind him. Like, in a different perspective, look at Roddy Ricch with the project he just put out. A lot of people were championing him the same way, and that was a really successful project. And something that I've gone back to a lot of times. So I just think that this is a good project, but I think in terms of people talking about he's next up and going to the next level, I don't think this was it. And that's tough because then the next one has to be, or what?
I don't think he's gotten the placements though to be in the position that Roddy Ricch was in when he dropped his album. Roddy Ricch was working with Nipsey, who R.I.P., but that brought a lot of publicity. The last song he had dropped was Racks in the Middle, so everyone was streaming Racks in the Middle. Then he did that song with Mustard, Ballin', which was I think the most popular song off that album. And those are placements that Roddy hasn't really gotten yet. Or not Roddy, Rod Wave hasn't really gotten yet. He's been on notable tracks, but not most of his popular tracks have been his solo stuff. So I think once he gets more placements, he could possibly be in the position that Roddy's in. And I think part of Roddy's drop, not to discredit the album because I loved the album, but it was another one of those times where he dropped when not really anything else came out in terms of hip hop. So, and the last album that was number one on the charts had been, I can't remember what it was, but I remember it had been number one for a while. So he basically, it was an opportunistic time, whether it was coincidence or he knew what doing that other people weren't dropping. I think there was a lot of substantial things that helped Roddy's rise. And I think as much as I don't think Rod's new album is as good as Roddy's newest album was, I think Rod's next album could be on that level.
That's a good point that you bring up. Rod Wave hasn't gotten nearly the type of placements that Roddy Ricch has. But I think at this point, Roddy has been like more flashy. Like in terms of consistency, they're both very, very consistent artists that have defining sounds. Every time they come on, you're going to know who it is the second their voice starts. I think another thing that goes into it is that Rod Wave simply doesn't have a song like The Box. He doesn't have one hit either. Roddy has a couple songs that I could see as a chart topper, top 10 type shit. I haven't heard any type of songs like that from Rod Wave. I think his range and his ceiling, like you talked about, is very high. I'm not looking for him to be one of the top in the game. I'm not looking for him to be some genre-defining artist. But I think his spot right now in the game where he's at is a very comfortable spot. And I think he's going to continue to make quality music. I would be shocked to see him go too much higher than he is right now, besides for the type of placements he's bound to get. People are going to want a Rod Wave feature, and that's just how it goes. It'll increase his brand.
I think what's going to happen is a lot of like deep cut hip hop rappers are going to get him on their tracks, that like people like Royce or people like King Los or someone like that will want to get him on their tracks to add to the melody, because he has that type of street melody, soulful vibe that I think especially New York rappers will appreciate and want to add to make that hit on their album. You know what I mean?
100%. When I first heard Rod Wave, I thought he was from like Chicago or California or some shit, but I think he's from Florida. Like I think I found out Florida, which surprised me. I don't know who is like OG or who one of the other established rappers are that's kind of like taking him under his wing. But unless you have one of those, like it doesn't, like even without Racks in the Middle, Roddy Ricch had Nipsey. If they never put out, he had like an OG around them showing the game. You feel me?
Yeah.
Rod Wave is still brand new. Clearly, he had the cover art tag like Andrew brought up. That's kind of almost embarrassing in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
That's kind of just like cheating yourself. You know you can afford it or put out the quality. But either way, I'm not mad at the music at all. I think the album was exactly what Rod Wave is. That's what I expect out of him. Maybe you had higher expectations. Maybe you expected growth. But I think we will see growth over the long run.
Yeah, I think we will too. I think I jumped the gun a little bit, and I got excited by his last album, and I was like, oh yeah, like this next one, it's going to be even better. And I think the songs might be a little tighter than the last album, but because the last album was so much fresher to me and like something I hadn't heard before, even if I had heard a couple tracks of him before, that album was like, that I loved it, and that wasn't the same feeling I got from this newest album. But I think like I said, I think he has the potential, and like you said, I don't expect him to be a genre bending artist or on the level or right below the level of someone like Drake. I just think he has the potential in his voice and songwriting to do so. I would be surprised for that to happen. I just think he has that within him, and his ceiling is there.
Yeah, and the one thing I will say is I think, like I said, this wasn't a bad project. I really enjoyed it as an introduction to Rod Wave. I'll definitely be checking for his next one. And the one thing in the comparison of Roddy Ricch and Rod Wave, once again, this reminds me kind of Roddy's project before this one, where it didn't really stand out to me. There wasn't a lot to it that really made me think that he was going to be able to take that next step. And then it really was just a project like a track like The Box and stuff like that really helped him ascend to that level where he's kind of taken that next step. So I think that Rod has definitely done a good job at establishing himself and putting in this project. So
I agree. And I think it was a smart move for him not to, even if he has grown, I think it was a smart move for him to stay within his niche on this new album, because I see a lot of people that I have never seen post about him before, posting about him and saying how much they like it, saying how much they like the pain in his music. And like, that's what I was saying when the last album came out, but I saw only a small amount of people saying that. And now I'm seeing a much larger group of people appreciating what I've appreciated in his music in the past.
Yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised if he wrote this sound for the next 2 or 3 albums. You know what I mean? Depending on how fast he puts out music.
If he does, I'll get bored, but I wouldn't be surprised either.
Yeah, people would get bored, but I wouldn't be surprised at all. They'd still listen. He just wouldn't grow to where he could be. But I'm expecting decent things out of him. Nothing crazy.
For sure. So we'll have to keep an eye out on what Rod Wave has coming in the future. now it's time for the leak segment of the show where we talk about a couple of tracks that haven't officially released, but I've got a couple of snippets for them. So the first one's going to be a song titled Ghetto Boys and Girls by Young Thug. I'm guessing you guys haven't heard this one yet?
No.
That's Ghetto Boys and Girls by Young Thug. I take it you guys enjoyed that. I can send that to you after this. That's a solid track, right? Like, I'm surprised that doesn't have an official release. Thug has so many of the songs like that.
Wait, so who was singing at the beginning?
I'm not sure off the top. That's something that was going on in the thread that I got this track off of, was they couldn't really figure out who the feature was or where that came from. But yeah, it was good shit.
That was like, that is not what I expected at all, and I really liked it. I mean, I almost always like what Thug does just because he can do so many things, and I think even though a lot of people don't like his voice, I think his voice is awesome, and I'm very drawn to it. So that is definitely something I'm going to be listening to a lot more, and that's something I'm going to be sending to my friends because I know my friends are going to like it.
And I was not expecting that. I've never been a huge Thug fan in general. Like, I don't listen to Thug like that. I listen to him when he drops, but in my playlist, there's not a bunch of Young Thug. I love what he has done for hip hop. I think that the way his voice is an instrument is crazy. He really does do things with his voice that a lot of artists can only attempt to try. But that song, I would listen to over and over again if the rest of it was as good as the beginning. I'm a sucker for production like that. I don't know if that was a feature artist or a sample, but whatever the fuck it was, that was, I don't want to say beautiful, but it was fire. Like, my face was twisted up. My shit got grimy. I want to peep the rest of that. So I definitely need to get that from you at the end of it.
Yeah, for sure. And, dude, that's the crazy thing about Thug. Like I said, I don't listen to a lot of Thug music. I probably listen to more, like, unreleased Thug tracks than what he puts out in general, just because they get so much hype behind them on the website that I'm on. Like, people get so hyped for these tracks, and it's smart. It's a smart way to go about it, and it's an interesting track. I'm wondering if it's going to get an official drop at some point just because it's so good. But Thug, like I said, he has so many of these, like, just unreleased gems that he just be chilling on.
He works a lot, bro. He's always recording shit, and he's the type of artist that can just, like, get in the studio, record his verse, and then be done really quick, like, or record his songs and just be done.
For sure. And you could tell, like, he's an artist, man. With tracks like this, you could just tell, like, he did so much with the production, so much going on. Like, he's crazy, dude. So
yeah, you don't know how many times I listened to that one, like, Higher remix he did with Elton John, bro. I listened to that so many times.
Fucking Elton John track.
Yeah.
It's heat, dude. It's good shit.
It's dope, bro. Like, I love it.
That is dope. I'm just like, what the fuck?
Facts. And that just shows
it was the
his,
same
like,
that
reach.
same EP he dropped with you remember that song he dropped with Jaden Smith? He has damn, I'm about to put you on then. I think it's a Sinner EP or something like that. Or maybe On the Run, something like that. And the song might be called Sinner with Jaden, but it's almost every song on that little EP is fire, and one of my favorite, like, compartmentalized thug projects.
That's crazy. I really like Jaden Smith.
Yeah, I do too. I think I've seen him get a lot of hate for like on in terms of his music, but I don't understand it, dude. I think his music's awesome. What did you say?
Got daddy's money.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, he's got daddy's money. Like, he's richer than a lot of these rappers on accident. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the way he looks. It's the movies that he did as a kid. And people won't take you serious if they've seen you in the limelight for too long.
Yeah.
Something happened. It's almost like something similar to what happened with Drake. Like, Drake had a target on his back from the moment he came in because what can he say? He's been on TV for years. Like, he can't say some crazy hard shit. Like, people aren't going to take you serious.
Yeah.
He got past though. Jaden is still the Karate Kid in most people's minds. So to hear him come out with a banger or even a conceptual smart, because the projects he puts out are so thought out.
Well, and I think part of it is, though, like before he was really dropping music he was dropping music at this time, but people didn't really know he was dropping music. He was tweeting stuff that was like, it came off very, it came off like he was trying to be really like smart or genius, and people were like, oh, this guy's a douchebag and he's just not even saying anything, he's just a rich asshole. And I think that's the reputation he was given. Yeah. But like even when he was dropping like Scarface, I don't know if you've heard that, he dropped Scarface and he dropped this song with Rich the Kid after that called Like This. And those are awesome songs, dude. Scarface is like like that video is so fucking cool, and like I listened to that song all throughout my like junior and senior years of high school, bro. I think I was on to Jaden Smith's music well before he was dropping these huge like conceptual albums, and I just feel like he's continued to tighten up his music, make it his own, and I think he dropped one album, it was like Summer Songs or something like that, and you could definitely hear like that he was I wouldn't say copying, but adopting other sounds from people like Drake, Brockhampton, stuff like that. But then his most recent 𝗱𝗃, I thought that was such a great concept. I enjoyed it even more than 𝗬𝘂. And I thought the songs were tighter and they made more sense together. And I think he's another artist that has a very high ceiling. And if he can break that barrier of oh, this guy's a douchebag, oh, this guy's just rich and thinks he's a genius, but he's not. If he can get past that and get people to actually listen to it, I think he could go as far as any other artist in the industry.
And I think one of the biggest things for Jaden is that like the projects he's put out, 𝗬𝘂 and 𝗱𝗃, those like you can't really listen to those and not see the art in them and not see the creativity in them. So it's just a matter of time, and I think it's really starting to happen after 𝗱𝗃 dropped. Like people taking him a little bit more seriously as an artist and not just the son of Will Smith, which has been awesome for him overall. And he's definitely an artist. That's the thing about it. Like he's very creative and stuff like that.
And I think all the charitable things he's doing is helping as well, like bringing water to Flint. He's doing like free food trucks and stuff like that. Just Water is good water. And I think that type of stuff will help his reputation tremendously.
I mean, there's not many things that other artists can do that Jaden Smith can't do.
Yeah.
You know what? Like, he has proven to be just as versatile as almost anybody in the modern hip-hop era. I've heard him rap really thought out, well-constructed bars. I've heard him be on his artsy, unique, I'm going to be a standout, outcast type shit. I've heard him fit his club vibe, like, and he's my age. Like, Jaden Smith, his ceiling is just as high as, I would say, Jaden Smith's ceiling at the end of the day and what type of artist he could be is even higher than like a Rod Wave.
Oh, I totally agree with I can totally agree with that. Just in terms of I've seen Jaden Smith's versatility and I haven't seen Rod Wave's versatility. I just think I think Jaden Smith could be on a Drake level. I think Jaden Smith could be Drake. I think he, or not be Drake, but someone on Drake's level. I think he has the potential to go there. I don't think Rod Wave could go that far. I think he could be below. And I think Jaden has more, I think it's more likely to happen with Jaden than it is with Rod Wave.
Think about besides for having Will Smith resources and money, that's alone, you're already the biggest fucking wild card. So if you have a smidge of talent, they can fake it till you make it. But being who Jaden Smith actually is, bro, like he is. It's almost scary to think about what Son could be in a couple of years.
And having a sister with a shit ton of talent.
Will Smith is under. That's a whole different topic, bro. She is fucking wild.
And we're going off too much. Willow Smith's the shit. You guys got to check her out.
Facts.
And A$AP Rocky and Jaden Smith's corner, bro. If that collab project ever happened, it would break the fucking internet.
Yeah.
And it would be great music nonetheless.
Yeah.
Even if it was just a Tyler and Jaden project.
Yeah.
That's more likely than that shit would be wild, bro. I'm waiting for that to happen.
That would be so dope.
To happen.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I just think that with the people Jaden has in his corner, it's going to be hard for him not to be one of the biggest names in hip-hop.
Definitely. That growth is definitely there. Before we got off topic with Jaden Smith, we were talking about Young Thug. I mentioned how he has a ton of leaked tracks. One person who doesn't have a ton of leaked tracks that are available is Kendrick Lamar. This track is probably the first one I've seen on this website in terms of leaked tracks. I'm not even super it sounds like Kendrick, it sounds legit, but just because Kendrick has such a tight lock on his shit, it wouldn't surprise me to find out if this is somehow some type of bullshit. But this is Shaolin Temple by Kendrick Lamar. We didn't get really deep into that one. That's very much a demo, so something he's working on, not a finished track at all. But it's interesting to see that type of creativity, that creative process, like working on a track like that, determining whether it's going to make an album, whether it's something you're going to continue working on. So it definitely didn't sound like super polished Kendrick in any way, but it was interesting.
To me, it sounded like maybe something he was working on his last album and just decided to scrap. That sounded a lot like older Kendrick. I don't really think. I mean, I would be surprised and disappointed if that's the type of music that he's working on for his next album.
I'm with you on that, Sheridan. I was very underwhelmed by that. I understand completely why that never came out. But also, I can't really judge a reference track. You feel me? Like,
yeah.
I can't.
Like, I thought it was interesting. I thought it was cool. Like, I was like, oh, this is whatever. But I would never listen to it again.
Tried it. In fact, if that came out, I would, take points away from Kendrick from what I heard. I would have to hear the rest of the song. Maybe the verses are amazing. I'm probably going to have you send that to me as well.
Yeah, it sounds to me like something he was just fucking around with. Like, it doesn't even sound like it got past that point or will get past that point.
And let me recant that, because I'm not taking points away from Kendrick for one single, but I would be like, are you dead ass, bro?
Yeah.
Took off 2 years for it.
Well, yeah, and right now it would be weird if that was the sound he was going with, because like Sheridan said, it does sound a lot like the last project. Kendrick is someone who you see that growth, you see something different in every project he does. So if it was still sort of that Damn type of feel, and so I think this is probably a throwaway off of Damn, but it's still, like I said, it's interesting to see other ways he was looking with going on that project, I guess.
Yeah, and I really liked the beat. I thought the beat was dope. I thought the production was awesome. I just did not dig what he was doing with it. And I'm a big, I say I think Kendrick's one of the greatest ever. I think he could be the greatest ever. But that would not support my opinion, that song.
That's what, when it was playing, all in my head I could think it's like, this is not greatest rapper alive shit. You feel me? Like,
yeah.
You don't have to do that every time you drop. I don't care about that, but it's almost like the selfish fan in me. And also, the chorus was just flat out annoying.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like bad. It was just like annoying. It wasn't.
Yeah. I would be very, very surprised if that was something he was planning on dropping or even remembered at this point.
Yeah.
I think it probably leaked. I think it probably leaked because of how, like, just not on his it probably because it's just not a song that they're even
worried about keeping under wraps.
Yeah. It's just like probably somebody like was like, oh, I can make a little money off of leaking this on the internet.
Yeah. The last track I was going to play was a leak at the beginning of the week, but then I realized that was all kind of part of Frank Ocean's rollout. He released a track titled Dear April, and the reason it had come out early on social media or whatever was because he dropped it on a vinyl release. It's a really interesting way that he put this out. I'm not sure if you guys are both familiar with it. He had released a track a couple months ago, put merch online saying he was selling the vinyl of that track. Then, like a month later, emailed all the fans who purchased that vinyl and said, hey, you're not actually going to get the vinyl you paid for. You're going to get this brand new track no one's ever heard of early on vinyl. And that's how fans got this track. You could then at that point cancel the order if you just really wanted the previous one, but Frank's fan base is so diehard, like it would be stupid to ignore that. And it turned out to be a really good track, and it's finally made its way onto streaming services like a week and a half later or something. But I just wanted to talk about the creative way of rolling out a track. Frank has done different shit like this all the time.
Yeah, I love the way he does things. I thought his like the movie he did before he dropped Blonde was really awesome. I am one of Frank's biggest fans for sure. Like he's in terms of male voices, like he's one of my favorites ever. I mean, he was my number one played artist last year on Apple Music, and I didn't even think I listened to him that much. Like I listened to so much other music, and when I saw he was my top played artist, I was like, wow. But I guess it makes sense. I mean, his every single song off Channel Orange and every single song off Blonde, I love. Multiple songs off Blonde, I would literally just listen to on repeat after it came out. And this new track, I was not disappointed by. A couple of tracks he's dropped in between this time, I've been a little like, this isn't Frank's best, but this Dear April track I've really liked.
Frank is somebody that never really disappoints at all. Like, if you can get a Frank Ocean track that's not your best, that's not what I want.
Yeah.
Still a damn near irreplaceable piece of art, you feel me?
Mm.
He's one of the artists that I find myself putting on shuffle on Spotify a lot, and just like forgetting that it's on shuffle, and it's not like a playlist. It's not a bunch of different artists. Like, his catalog is honestly kind of crazy.
He's timeless.
He's timeless.
And he's a fucking genius. Like the music video that Sheridan, or not even a music video, but the movie thing he did that Sheridan talked about, I think that's the project that he was able to like manipulate that into being like a release under the label. So then he got out of his contract with the label and was able to release a project exclusively on iTunes, being Blonde, like a week later. So he and then was able to benefit entirely. He got like $20 million off of giving it to Apple exclusively for like 2 weeks, and utilized a movie as a way to get the label off of his back. Like that shit that changed the idea of like streaming services being able to offer exclusive contracts and shit like that for projects early. Like, he changed shit up just because of how smart he was and manipulated a major label, which is usually goes the other way around.
Yeah, and I think another thing that's really amazing is where he came from. He like how many artists from Odd Future came out and have become really timeless artists now from their original roots. You have to think about Tyler now. Earl has the potential to be there in terms of like rap. I think he already is there. Frank, and there's so much other loads of talent and who they were hanging out with at the time. I think it's crazy where they've come from where they were. And I loved their music before. Like, it was amazing, and I still listen to it. But just the growth and change, I think, has been pretty amazing to see in such a small group of people, all of that talent that came out of it. And they were just like a group of assholes just like fucking around all the time. And now they're like the biggest artists of our generation.
Yeah, as Future's rise, and I don't even want to say fall, but I guess just their split up is something that just like it's really absurd to see how quickly and rapidly they progress through the industry, especially with the chip on their shoulder and the preordained image that everybody had of them. I would never have expected them to have cracked mainstream media for any reason except like pissing somebody off. You feel me? These niggas created a brand, TV show, crazy merch company. I know so many people that have Odd Future tattoos. I know people, like Tyler's growth alone.
Yeah.
Something that I would have never predicted. But I guess like you would almost be dumb not to see it coming. He's always shown so many glimpses of genius. As a fan, I want to hear him rap more, but I love everything that he's doing. I can't knock him at all. I think Tyler, the Creator, in a couple of years, or even if it's way farther down the line, when people look back at it, he'll be looked at and respected as like one of the true best hip hop artists of this time period. I don't think he really gets that credit at all right now, because he's not always rapping or doing stereotypical hip hop. But he is one of the most genius artists that we have, period. Period. He's truly great. And Odd Future in general, when you look back at all the people, I mean, Damo's still active.
Yeah, I love Damo's music. He's so underappreciated, bro.
It's just wild.
He dropped that song with Dapper with Anderson .Paak, and that was my like intro to Anderson .Paak is Dapper by Damo Genesis. I mean, I had heard him actually on what was it, the Dr. Dre album, but like I hadn't like gone and actually listened to his like solo music until I had heard Dapper, and that's a great track if you guys haven't heard it. Dapper by Damo Genesis.
Yeah, it's just crazy to see like how this group of artists, they're like Odd Future, something that had such a bad like look on them initially.
They were getting banned from countries, dude. They're getting banned from countries.
They're full of like a group of just so many intelligent individuals that like it's crazy. All like Vince, Earl, Tyler, all of them, Frank. Like, so it's crazy to see just the spectrum of intelligence that was in that group, let alone like how each one has gone off to do their own thing. So a testament to Odd Future for sure. We've been going for almost 2.5 hours though, guys. Is there anything that we have forgot to talk about this week?
Not particularly.
No, I think we covered most things.
There was the 𝗂𝘂𝘂𝗀𝘂 slide, but fuck that.
Yeah.
Bro, I honestly didn't hate it as much as everyone else hated it.
I don't hate the song. I actually think it was genius. But do I want to talk about it, really?
What is there to talk about? It's going to be a hit. It's going to blow up like every Drake single he drops, and he was a genius for dropping it, and that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that covers the 𝗂𝘂𝘂𝘂 slide in about as long as it should take you to learn the dance. Sheridan, go ahead and promote anything you have coming up. We obviously Press the Vibe dropped yesterday.
Yeah, so I just dropped Press the Vibe April 3rd. That is a track I did with an artist I'm currently and will continue to collaborate with 𝗱𝗂𝘂𝗃𝗃. I'm actually at her house right now because we're quarantined, and I just didn't want to stay in my apartment. This is a better place to be in LA. San Francisco kind of sketchy right now. But yeah, and then on the 10th, my birthday, I'm dropping a track I've had in the vault for quite a while now, and I've been waiting for the right time to drop it, called Road Less Traveled. This is actually my first announcement that it's going to be dropping. So I'll be posting the pre-save link for that tomorrow, and I hope you guys will check it out and check out my new single, Press the Vibe. I have an album coming soon, and that's all I'll say.
Nice. So a lot to look forward to from Sheridan. Ant, you just dropped Red Rum. We got anything else to look forward to?
Just dropped Red Rum. You know, running those numbers up. We're sitting pretty right now. It's been a good first week. And I'm thinking about announcing my next single once we hit 5K on Spotify. I'm about to start dropping. I'm about to just drop. I'm not about to say what. I'm not about to say when. So just be on the lookout. Once I have a date for my next single, you guys will be the first to know. But I'm trying to get some music made and released of stuff that I just did during the quarantine. Because I've been writing like a madman. I got to get this out to somebody, or else it'll just be wasting material. So I might drop some extra bonus stuff out there. Not promote it crazy, just some stuff to hold people over. So look out for that. Run Red Rum up. And I just want to make a quick shout out. Thank you guys last week for getting this to basically 1,000 views. I think we cracked 1K.
Yep.
Because that's great. We did this because, like we said earlier, we just want to unify the hip-hop scene, show love to other artists, and spark dialogue in a time where it's not so fun. There's not that much to do. Everybody's cooped up inside. So the fact that y'all tuned in, shared, engaged, commented, means a lot to us. So if there's any topics that you want us to discuss, any things that you want us to talk about, let us know. And we appreciate your support.
Thank you guys, and keep supporting these upstate artists. It's so important. I made this post today. Not just the artists, support the blogs, bro. Upstate Aesthetic and 607 Sound have been literally the best thing that could have happened to local artists that I can think of in recent history. I mean, they're literally promoting us for free and giving you guys that aren't making music free content and a free outlet to find all this new great music that's coming out of our area. And that's something that should be cherished and celebrated.
I agree.
For sure. Thank you guys. With all that said, you guys can all check out Upstate Aesthetic for any upcoming news related to upstate hip hop. And of course, shout out to 607 Sound. They do a great job too. There's another blog that I frequently talk to. This is Upstate. They do a great job at focusing on some of the other like Albany, Utica related artists that I'm not so able to keep track of, and they've actually helped me discover a lot of talent that I probably wouldn't have been able to find. So that's what all of this is about. And these blogs are all important. It's not like I at least don't see any reason to be competitive, because it just adds legitimacy. Having more people talking about what's going on, it then makes it more serious. So like I said, keep an eye out for anything news related with Upstate music. We also have a program called Upstate Exclusives. That's how we brought Red Rum to you 2 weeks early. We've partnered with 𝗱𝗂𝘂𝘀𝗀 to drop a song with him titled I Know My Rights. So we're going to go ahead and close out the live with a snippet of that.
What you mean, what you like? I like lean, I like Sprite. Yeah, gamble with my life. Alright. I like lean, I like Sprite. Officer, I know my rights. Roll it, that she be my type. Rubber off, I gamble life. What you mean, what you like? We can do it all tonight. Shorty always be so hype. She like I'm single for the night. What you mean, what you like? Yeah, I found that bitch on Skype. Yeah, I'm about to give a pipe. After that, I roll a pipe. What you mean, what you like?